Imagine being told by your mother that you are disgraceful because you like to hunt and fish instead of playing the cello. Imagine volunteering as an ambulance driver during World War I, only to be blown up by a mortar, carrying a wounded soldier to safety while shrapnel is lodged in your own legs. Imagine surviving 2 plane crashes in 2 days, then walking into the jungle to find help. Now imagine that same man, Ernest Hemingway, winning the Nobel Prize in Literature, becoming a legend in his own lifetime, and then, despite everything, taking his own life because he could no longer write. This is not a story about a saint. Hemingway was a bully, a drunk, a serial adulterer, and a man who burned through friendships and marriages with casual cruelty. But this is also a story about a very specific kind of hope. The hope that you can face the worst the world throws at you, war, fire, blood, loss, and still make something beautiful. The hope that courage is not the absence of fear but grace under pressure. Welcome to our channel. Today we are telling the story of Ernest Miller Hemingway. And by the end, you will understand that hope is not about winning every battle. It is about getting back up after every single knockdown, until one day you cannot. Ernest Hemingway was born on July 21, 1899, in Oak Park, Illinois, a prosperous, conservative suburb of Chicago. His father, Clarence, was a doctor. His mother, Grace, was a musician. The family was respectable, religious, and suffocating. Ernest's mother wanted him to be a cultured gentleman. She made him take cello lessons. She dressed him in matching velvet suits with his sister, Marceline. Ernest hated it. He later said, "My mother spent a lot of time trying to stop me from being a boy. She didn't succeed." His father taught him to hunt, fish, and build fires. He took him into the Michigan woods, where Ernest learned to love silence, solitude, and the violence of the kill. He would later say that his father was the only person he truly respected, until his father killed himself with a revolver. In high school, Ernest wrote for the school newspaper. He was not a great student, but he was a ferocious reader. He loved Jack London and Kipling. He wanted adventure. He wanted war. So when World War I broke out, he rushed to join. He was rejected by the army because of a bad eye. He volunteered for the Red Cross as an ambulance driver. He was 18 years old. On July 8, 1918, Ernest Hemingway was stationed near the Italian front, handing out chocolate and cigarettes to soldiers. A mortar shell exploded. The blast knocked him unconscious. When he woke, he saw Italian soldiers screaming for help. A wounded soldier was next to him. Despite having over 200 pieces of shrapnel embedded in his legs, Hemingway picked the man up and carried him to safety. He was shot again while doing so. He collapsed. He later said, "I felt my soul go out of my body and then come back." He was awarded the Italian Silver Medal of Bravery. He was also traumatized for life. He spent months in a Milan hospital recovering from surgery. He fell in love with a nurse, Agnes von Kurowski, who was 6 years older. She promised to marry him. She broke the promise in a letter. Hemingway never fully trusted a woman again. He returned home as a war hero, but felt like a fraud. He could not sleep. He drank. He worked odd jobs. He married his first wife, Hadley Richardson, mostly to escape his family. He moved to Paris. He decided to become a serious writer. Paris in the 1920s was a carnival of artists, writers, and drunks. Hemingway fell in with a group that included F. Scott Fitzgerald, Gertrude Stein, Ezra Pound, and James Joyce. He was the youngest, the most ambitious, and the most insecure. Gertrude Stein told him, "You are all a lost generation." Hemingway wrote the phrase down. He used it as an epigraph for his first novel, The Sun Also Rises, 1926. The book is about a group of wounded, disillusioned expats wandering through Spain. It made him famous. Hemingway also developed his signature style. Short sentences, simple words, deep feeling beneath the surface. He called it the iceberg theory. He said, "If a writer knows what he is doing, he can leave out the parts that he knows. The reader will feel them as strongly as if they were there." He also developed his signature persona. Tough, silent, dangerous. He boxed. He fished. He hunted. He drank. He cheated on his wife with a woman named Pauline Pfeiffer. He and Hadley divorced. He married Pauline. The guilt would haunt him forever. He wrote about it in A Movable Feast, published after his death. "I wished I had died before I had ever loved anyone but her." In the 1930s, Hemingway became a legend. He moved to Key West, where he wrote A Farewell to Arms, 1929, a tragic love story set in the Italian front. The book was a bestseller. He bought a fishing boat and named it Pilar. He hunted German submarines in the Caribbean. He was not very good at it. He covered the Spanish Civil War as a journalist, where he watched his friends die and wrote For Whom the Bell Tolls, 1940, another bestseller. He also drank more. He fought more. He divorced Pauline and married Martha Gellhorn, a brilliant war correspondent who was his equal, and who refused to be his shadow. That marriage lasted 5 years. He then married Mary Welsh, who endured his rages and his drinking until the end. By the end of the 1930s, Hemingway was the most famous living writer in the world. He had money, fame, women, and adventure. He was also deeply, secretly unhappy. After the failure of his novel Across the River and Into the Trees, 1950, critics declared Hemingway finished. They said he was a parody of himself. They said he could not write anymore. Hemingway was devastated. He had always defined himself by his work. Without that, he had nothing. He went back to Cuba. He sat at his typewriter for 18 months. He wrote a short novel about an old Cuban fisherman who catches a giant marlin, only to have it eaten by sharks before he can bring it home. He wrote and rewrote the ending 39 times. The novel was The Old Man and the Sea, 1952. It is a story about endurance, dignity, and hope in the face of inevitable defeat. The old man, Santiago, loses the fish, but he does not lose his soul. He dreams of lions on the beach. The book won the Pulitzer Prize in 1953. It won Hemingway the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. The Nobel Committee said he had mastered the art of the modern narrative. In 1954, Hemingway and Mary survived 2 plane crashes in 2 days in Africa. Hemingway suffered a cracked skull, a ruptured liver, a crushed kidney, and a spine that would never heal. He could not write for months. He began to fall apart. The last years of Hemingway's life are painful to read. He could no longer drink because of his liver, but he drank anyway. He could no longer write because of his injuries, but he tried anyway. His paranoia grew. He believed the FBI was following him. They actually were. J. Edgar Hoover had a file on him. He was hospitalized repeatedly for depression. He underwent electroconvulsive therapy, ECT. It destroyed his memory. He could no longer remember his own books. He said, "They have taken my mind. I am nothing without my mind." On July 2, 1961, Ernest Hemingway woke early. He went downstairs to the foyer of his house in Ketchum, Idaho. He unlocked the gun cabinet. He took out his favorite shotgun, a Boss & Company, double-barreled 12-gauge. He put the barrel in his mouth. He pulled both triggers. His wife, Mary, was upstairs. She heard nothing. Ernest Hemingway's death was not a failure of courage. It was a failure of medicine. He was mentally ill. He had been broken by the war, by the accidents, by the ECT, by the alcohol. He was 61 years old. He had outrun his demons for decades. In the end, they caught him. But here is the hope in his story. Hemingway taught millions of readers, and thousands of writers, that simple words could carry enormous weight. That you could be afraid and still act. That you could lose and still be dignified. That you could be broken and still remain standing, for a while. He wrote, "The world breaks everyone, and afterward many are strong at the broken places." He also wrote, "But man is not made for defeat. A man can be destroyed but not defeated." You are watching this video in a world that tells you to hide your wounds, to pretend you are strong, to never admit that you are struggling. Hemingway struggled his entire life. He was depressed, anxious, and paranoid. He used alcohol to silence his ghosts. Worked for a while. Then it didn't. The hope in his story is not about his ending. The hope is about his middle. He got up every single day and sat at the typewriter. He wrote and rewrote until the sentences were clean. He hunted, fished, sailed, and loved, even when loving hurt. He lived more in 61 years than most people live in 100. If you are struggling today, if you are depressed, if you have lost hope, if you feel like the sharks are eating your marlin, remember Santiago. He came home with a skeleton, but he also came home with his pride. And he dreamed of lions on the beach. You do not have to win. You just have to fight. And if you cannot fight, you just have to hold on. And if you cannot hold on, ask for help. Hemingway never asked. That is his tragedy. Do not repeat it. If Ernest Hemingway's words have ever made you feel strong in your broken places, hit that like button for the man who taught us that grace under pressure is the only grace that matters. Subscribe for more stories of flawed, brilliant humans who left us their art. And in the comments below, what is one broken place in your life that has made you stronger? Thank you for watching. Be strong at the broken places. Fade to black. The sound of waves against a boat. A single typewriter key. Courage is grace under pressure. Ernest Hemingway.